before you even sit in your lecture to learn the material. You have to take care of your body before you can improve your mind. Eat well, sleep well, get some exercise. Once you do this, you will have a good foundation to learn all you need to for your classes. The best advice that I can give is don't cram for exams. This is something a lot of people do when they first get to college, and it might take some time to get out of this habit. You might think pulling an all-nighter before a big exam will be helpful because you're spending so much time on the material. But in fact, this won't really help you. One of the first things you learn in Psych 101 is that it's much better to space out your studying rather than trying to learn it all at once. So, study all throughout the semester and try to relate past topics to what you're currently learning. This is a great way to make sure you understand material while keeping it fresh in your mind so you remember it all the way to finals. So you definitely shouldn't wait until the last minute. But what else should you do? You should try to study a little bit every day, all throughout the semester. Find a time that works best for you. Are you more productive in the morning, directly after classes in the library, later at night? Once you find a good time for you, take breaks. Too often I find myself sitting for hours working on homework, later wondering why I'm so drained. I have to remind myself, often with many alarms in my phone, to get up to stretch, get a snack and some water, and take a break by doing something unrelated to class. Trust me, a short brain break does wonders after a few hours of advanced molecular biology work. It's also a great idea to chunk your work into smaller sections. My studying looks something like an hour of philosophy, a snack break, an hour of anatomy, a brain break, an hour of psychology, dinner, and wrapping things up with an hour or two of biology. But how exactly should you be studying? One of the most important things to do is to go to lecture and take good notes. But this doesn't mean you should write down your professor's lecture verbatim. You should be writing the important things, the things that will help you remember the information. Mnemonics, a funny quote from your professor, questions you have that you can answer later. If your professor gives you their PowerPoints, download them or print them out to take notes during class without worrying about missing something that's on the screen. You might also try note-taking methods like Cornell Notes. Though I've never been a fan of this method, you may find it to be the best method you've ever used. After lecture, you should review your notes, but don't stop there. Read your textbook and answer questions in the section you're working on. If your professor gives you practice questions, do them. Try flashcards, make Quizlets. If you can create questions yourself, there's a good chance you're on the right track to properly understanding the material. Teach that material to a friend, a family member, your pet, or an inanimate object. It doesn't matter who or what you're talking to, as long as you're able to explain the material aloud. This method, along with joining study groups, is a great way to see where you have gaps in your understanding. As a last thought, I want to caution you against treating all your courses the same. I think high school tends to consider studying one size fits all, but different classes need different strategies, just as different people do. You might need to put in twice as much work for one class than another. You might find some strategies work for one while being terrible for others, and that's okay. I've had classes that took up every spare moment the whole semester, while others didn't need much time outside of lecture. I've found that my studying works very differently depending on what class I'm studying for. Calculus and general chemistry worked well with repetition and practice problems, biology with self-testing, and flashcards in our assigned coloring book for anatomy. It takes some trial and error, so be willing to try new things and change strategies as you need. As long as you remain flexible, treat your body and mind well, and do your best, I'm sure you will excel in your college pursuits.